One of the biggest challenges for racing games in the 8-bit era was handling elevation changes. There are so many racing games where, regardless of the course or terrain you're going through, everything is perfectly flat. And that makes those times when a racing game can pull off those hills and valleys feel more impressive. Power Drift on the PC Engine looked at the challenge of handling terrain like that, and then went absolutely nuts with it. Originally, Power Drift was a Sega arcade game, one of their superscalar games that gave players a sense of motion by having a ton of sprites on screen and being able to scale them freely. It's sometimes called the first kart racing game, though I think things get a bit messy there with definitions. For the monumental task of porting that game to a home platform, Asmik recruited Copia Systems. Power Drift was only their second game, and their first was released a month before it. Copia Systems did not last very long as a game developer, and their best-known game outside of Japan is probably Paladin's Quest. It's either that or something like Air Diver or Lock On, so it's pretty thin pickings for them. Power Drift is a very straightforward racing game. There's 9 courses, plus a secret bonus course if you manage to come in first every race. You just have to get around the track the fastest and always be in the top 3 in order to continue onward. Button 2 accelerates, button 1 brakes, and there is a low and high gear that you change by pressing up and down. There are no power-ups, no weapons to use on your opponents, no upgrades to buy. It's just you going around tracks that last about 15 seconds per lap, and hopefully outrunning everyone else. There are 12 different characters you can play as, but in terms of race performance, all 12 of them are identical. If you don't manage to come in third, then it's game over, and there are no continues. Well, no continues unless you use a cheat code. Hold down button 1 and press start at the title screen, and you'll continue at the track you lost on. The real star of the show in Power Drift is that it's a technical showcase. Something that absolutely should not have been possible on the PC Engine, and yet there it is. It's not perfect, you're going to see lots of graphical glitches, but it's still a very impressive effort. One of the distinguishing features of Power Drift in the arcade was its roller coaster-like tracks, and those have been carried over to the PC Engine version. On top of that, all 12 racers are on the course simultaneously. It's a very crowded racetrack, and you're going to be constantly colliding with and getting bumped around by other players. In fact, I find Power Drift to be a bit too chaotic. I often found myself in situations where I just couldn't dodge someone and was sent flying. Something else about the racing in Power Drift is that after a lap or two, the positions are often pretty well set. Whoever is in first and second place usually got there by managing to avoid the collision chaos, and thus they wind up with a huge lead. Everyone else has been getting in each other's way, slowing themselves down, and pretty much can't catch up. If you manage to avoid wrecking on the first lap, then you're probably going to be able to get past that race. For opinions of Japanese players that I could find on Power Drift, the sentiment that I saw over and over again were people basically saying, I thought they were crazy to even try to port this to the PC Engine, and it somehow worked. Which I think is going to be most people's response here. Home consoles struggled with superscalar ports for a long time, so Power Drift on the PC Engine carrying over most of the feeling of the game is genuinely impressive. It loses some tracks, the sprite rotation effects are pretty much gone, but Power Drift came through mostly intact. And that's kind of the bad news. I've always found Power Drift to be one of the weaker superscalar games, and the Sega racing game that I like the least. Power Drift on the PC Engine does nothing to improve the game. I think the way that your car gets bounced around by other players is actually worse here. So in my mind, Power Drift is an amazing technical achievement in making a surprisingly faithful port of a game that isn't very good. Now, if you like Power Drift, by all means, give this version a try. It'll give you a little bit of a different experience, while still being close to the arcade game that you like. As for myself, I'm not going to play this one very often.